Hello everyone! Welcome back to some more NEBVEMBER tournaments. We are on Yukon. This is going to be game set 5, round 3. Squaring off, we have SANDJOVER in the orange trunks against Freakbob's Fenthouse in the blue. I am Boy Blue, and I'm joined by Escape GT.
Hello.
Alright, so, you want to read off Team 1 then?
Yep, Team 1, as you said, is SANDJOVER. The Unk Stack. We have Heaven-Based, who is Herman. Quiz, Snipes, and Hellcringe, who is Hunter here.
Yep. Against them, we have got Freakbob's Fenthouse, which is Cosmic Eradicator, and the Spy Eye.
Yeah, it just makes perfect sense, doesn't it? We can definitely tell all these idiots apart. Yeah,
Hasn't gotten us confused at all.
Just look for the color of the yellow, and you'll be able to narrow it down 50-50, I suppose. Anyway, taking a look at initial deployments right now, it looks like SANDJOVER is doing the same tactic they did in the first one. Max Axford over the top here. I am counting, looks like 7, if my math is correct there, right? 4, 5, 6,
I can look.
7,
1, 2,
yes.
3, 4, 5, 6.
7 Axfords. I count
the 7th.
1, 2. There's a cluster of 2 by C. Cluster. Oh no, that's a
1,
beamstone.
2, 3.
Never mind. Ignore me.
4, 5.
I was holding the camera at an angle to try and get all of the Axfords in that group above A. That I missed one of them being a beamstone. Based on its position, that's likely a rail. We will see.
All right. Looks like 6 Axford. It might be the same build that they did first round of the tournament on, or first round of this set in the tournament on Blood Moon. Gonna see a more line coming in here. Carrier loadout from OSP. You want to read off ANS quick, and then I'll do OSP after?
Yes. Let's take a look at what the Unk Stack has brought to the table for this game. First up, Heaven-Based, Herman. We have a double 450 Axford here. These are not Greedfords. These are fully built point defense Axfords. One with a comms jammer, one with probably an illuminator, I would guess. Nope, never mind. Illuminator on the nose or the belly. Nope, not seeing an illuminator from this fleet at all. We do have an S3H backpack here. Looks like I'm seeing...
They do have an illuminator on the shoulder.
There it is.
Okay.
River Folds, those are S3H River Folds. Those are anti-craft S3H, and it appears that those are the only things loaded in those VLS3s. Hellcringe is running some pretty cringed Axfords here. I suppose it fits to allow them to fit 2 cringe cappers. No, these full gun cappers. One of them's a full gun
we saw this
capper.
build in the first game. One of these is going to be a
jammer.
vet, and the other one is offset pinard device.
Anyway, both of these Axfords that Hunter has brought are Greedfords. One with a... Oh, no, one of them's the rail Greedford. Yes, this is the same thing they brought in the first one.
Strange. This is the same comp we saw in game 1, so...
All right. Quiz with the Cat Fleet. I am seeing quad beamstone here. Ooh, funnily enough, these beamstones have a lot of defenders, probably anticipating the R2 tactics from Freakbob's Fenthouse. We will see if that's what that carrier is, as well as it looks like all of their cappers are... Nope, 1 gun, 2 gun, 3 gun... All right, so 3 gun and 2 cringe.
3 gun and a spy glass is the tech on the one. The mice is towards the top of the map.
Snipes is running the Beam Axford Rush fleet, as we saw in the first one too.
Very unusual stuff there, but a lot of damage on those. All right. So OSP against this. We saw this in game 1 award the SANDJOVER team a win. We'll see if they can pull it off again. Cosmic Eradicator number 1 comes in with a 450 broadsider. Has got its self-contained backpacks here, comms jammer, T20 secondary batteries. Very consistent overall.
I'm assuming we're looking at mechanical hands and zirconium pants, Cosmic?
Yes. Okay. Top of the list. We're going to go in order.
That's not top of the list for me, but okay.
2 T20 shuttles, and then we got a Bloodhound early warn tug. This thing is only able to run the track-correlated Bloodhound or the early warning. Does mean the early warning spots this massive rush up at the top here, so... Second Cosmic is going to come in with Ruddle, and then T30 Plasma Liner, and another Ruddle. That's going to be some nasty close quarters work they can do. The third Cosmic is going to be Carrier, currently flipped upside down. The Winterborn is getting some craft off the deck. Looks like a good complement of bombers, a blade of foam, lets them tank an SDM2.
Yep, not entirely dedicated to R2s, although they still have some. Looks like these are going to be mostly anti-capital.
Fighters with a blade of foam as well. Very expensive luxury fighters here. Not a common tech since the SDM2 is very popular for shooting these down. And it doesn't push the threshold.
Taking a look what ANS is bringing, though, there's not a lot of SDM200s on those. That's all like flak and RPF. That blade of foam might come in clutch.
Yeah. A blade of foam, I No, on the bombers they can tank an extra hit, but I think the fighters, it's only plus 30 hit points.
It allows them to
total,
take a coil gun round from Tontos, but that's about it.
True. All right, interesting tech there either way, and then just a couple of skiffs coming in here. Also a pike or two with the EO targeting ball. Lastly, we're going to see Spy Eye comes in with 450 liners 1 and 2, container backpacks on these, some Helljoys, some decoy containers, just good stuff overall there. These are going to go around the map. Unless we see the cringe capper sacrifices, these are being distributed around. Hey, skip this fleet. Looks a little familiar.
Yeah, this is the fleet that I brought, but I'm immediately noticing some corrections with the errors. So, of course, they give me the broken version of this fleet and then take the real one.
Well, I had to test it some way or other. Anyways, Axford's going to move across the top of the map here to open the game up. These are on early warning. ANS playing it as blatant as they can. They've got 6 Axfords, and they're going to go.
All capitals from ANS detected. OSP knows this tactic. They know this is what happened last time. We will see if they are able to counter this. Hustler Squadron is ASF is currently just dodging and weaving through the flank here, maybe trying to bait out some anti-craft missiles, I would assume is what they're trying to do here. I
Looks like they kept this on manual fire then, just trying to use RPF to pop it. Oop, no, one Naginata going to be fired off.
Fired. How many Naginatas do we have on this thing? 16.
I believe it was 16?
So that is going to impact. Oh, it misses! That was CMD and it misses! Whoa!
Okay.
Unfortunate for
Hardburn Evade will mean these dodge a lot of the RPF. 450 opens up on Heaven Base. Rails in return. That's a lot of fire all at once.
Wake back up, so maybe the Wake... Nope, there we go. Splash 2. That one actually hit.
Rattle Strike going to find the wannabe A-Capper that... Or, no, never mind. That's Chieftain with the R2s on them and R3s. All right.
Chieftain
little rocket bomber pair.
Keeps the R2s in reserve here, likely hunting for a Beamstone with the rest of those. That many R2s might be enough to get through. We'll see. There is a lot of defenders on all these Beamstones that ANS has brought. ANS wisely deciding to put a little bit more point investment into their goalie assets there. These Axfords rushing across the top, that's a lot of meat for OSP to chew through. You can see Spy Eye is currently taking the fight here. Meanwhile, the rest of OSP seems to be mostly moving around. This is very reminiscent of the first one here. As we have a lot of heavy ships rushing across the top. OSP, for what it's worth, I believe their best tactic here is to play on caps here. We can already see Tethys in Zirconian Pants. That is who that Cosmic is, by the way. Has already wrapped around Boxer with one of their 450 liners, likely trying to get some broadside shots into these Axfords. Has pivoted the guns over, trying to get a target. Looks like the liner is doing some weird roll stuff. There's HE. HE into the broadside of one of Herman's Axfords here. That's going to get some belly hits there by the looks of it. We will see how accurate
Double Raider's good. We'll see how well it dodges this on an odd angle.
Chieftain takes a bunch of S1s here in the back line as it is hunting around for assets here. It does actually get a strike on one of the Beamstones here, knocks out a couple of the defenders. The Beamstone able to survive quite significantly against that strike. There's the strike.
Beams out from Quiz, going for Hustler on the A point. We'll find some. R2 is going to actually hit the C-Capper. Perfect snipe on that thing, taking out the drive. Removes this thing's power. It's going to be decrewed.
Damage, not as much as I think OSP was hoping for here into the Axfords. The Axfords friendly fire each other. Herman, one of the rounds goes into the nose of their other Axford. Oops. Don't see that every day. ANS is
Axford's opening up on the T20 cappers. Going to do basically nothing with the 450. Might have a bad ident on it. Axfords are pushing and going for what looks like a threatening posture over a common carrier spot.
Yep.
That said, the carrier can kind of rotate comfortably here and build up some strike. Axfords have to encircle it, so if it gets a good bombing strike on one of those Axfords as they had to split off.
Right, we will see if it's able to move and get some strikes through. OSP is executing the same strategy they did last time with the massive frontline push. We'll see if Freakbob's Fenthouse is able to reposition their ships enough to start getting some cap points here. One of Cosmic Eradicator's liners popping out low in conjunction with one of the Plasma Hunter
used
Mill.
for anti-air here.
Yep, okay, so OSP now knows that they're bringing the same Beamstones they did the Beam Axfords they used last time here. They have the positive ID on what Protector it's bringing. Spy Eye getting
nice beam aim in the all chat there.
Spy Eye is just getting collapsed on in the back here as the Axfords just try and get over there. Cosmic has already moved Winterborn into a more defended position, trying to keep it out of harm's way. Bombard Squadron flanking up with the rockets here. You can see here come the Naganatas.
They're getting a bit of a split off here.
Bombard splits off one of their craft. It looks like they're trying to avoid the typical S3H ACM strat that you see. Both Naganatas miss
There's
again.
Something going on with these tunings.
Are these Heiko
yeah.
Heiko countermeasures, that's what's causing it. The Wake backup is kicking in, forcing the Naganatas to miss as the Wake takes priority as Command's track is not good enough. There goes the strike into
very
one of the
unusual to see.
there. Degrades a little bit of one of them here, although this thing is still relatively healthy.
Importantly, that will strip the armor a bit more, allowing these T-20 secondary batteries and the T-30 liner a opportunity. Snipes is committing to this. They're trying to go for the brutality of those like secondary batteries combined with the beam and the 450 nose gun. This could end up going badly for them depending how many fighters are able to be fielded very quickly. They will be able to pick off this Bloodhound Tug in the back.
The Axfords do appear to be sort of splitting off here to try and get crossfires on the liners that they've pushed out of position. They're probably trying to hunt down the carrier. They do not know where it is, although they probably have a pretty good idea on where it is at the moment. The Bloodhound Tug under fire now as it's going to lose its capability to provide tracks.
Spy gets a beam locked onto them briefly there.
Around the corner, gets beamed. Fire now going into that beam, Axford. That one is still perfectly healthy.
Here's a bit of missile. Oop.
That's our two dump into the Axfords here. It's not really going to be doing
No, it's not. It's actually our... Wait. No, that was S1s. They're just trying to fish this thing for any point defense or AMMs and such they might carry.
Interesting.
Simply just because they had the fighters up.
Spy Eye gets gutted. Once again, you can see the flaw with this fleet. Doesn't look like it's completely fixed. The CIC goes down. Only one on one of those liners just gets sniped.
Yeah, redundancy very important on liners.
An attempt on the C point here is going to get denied as Quiz still has that beamstone in position to destroy it. Like how I walk, that's throwing itself onto the point. This is a gun camper. That's one of the more expensive campers that OSP has. It's just vaporized by the beam.
Actually, it's going to outpace the beam briefly there.
Whoa,
we'll get caught up in a second.
Sniped, though. The beam cycling here. B short not on, although it will probably flick on B short in a couple seconds here. The beam experts continue to round around the corner here. One of Spy Eye's liners is pretty much completely gutted. Firestorm from the carrier is going to attempt to strike on these beam experts here, just trying to dislodge them as best as possible.
There's the torpedoes
Those
out.
are torpedoes.
All right, these are going to be Act ARAD Val.
ARAD Val, radar, not MCOM'd. All of those torpedoes are going to land.
That's a crippling blow.
As one of those Axfords is really heavily damaged. Bomb follow-up. There is still a defender in arc from the escorting one, but it gets blocked out by the arc. The Axford's hull blocking
one
that
impact
defender
into
from
the
firing.
nose front stack
Bomb
there.
hit does not do a whole lot of damage as the nose eats it there.
Oh no, Spy Eye opening up. No, not Spy Eye. The Cosmic 100 mil opening up on the wrong Axford. At the same time, maybe the right
up on the
Axford,
right
since the other one's
They're
not
trying
a threat.
to dislodge this beam. The other one is currently disabled right now. The beam is redded out. They can take their time on that one. They want to disable the beam on the other one. Looks like OSP
they do manage it 4% on the board.
Those beam Axfords. Meanwhile, Cosmic, flanking low at C with the 100 mil liner, dislodges one of the beamstones as C is relatively open now if OSP can spare a capper. Meanwhile,
B under threat as well as Cosmic going for it.
Zirconium
they get a track on Quiz here.
You can see the 250s are already starting to pivot towards where tempo is right now. That beam is out of arc. Range is currently approximately 7 kilometers. Zirconium Pants needs to open fire now if it wants to dislodge that beam. Atlas goes to ANS. Claw Squadron diverted with HE-shaped S1s to try and dislodge that, although it's going to be too little too late for the ACAP to deny. Beam is back up on one of Snipes' Axfords here. Gets a beam into Bloodkin there. Bloodkin still holding on quite well here as Spy Eye repivots with the 450 liners. Trying to finish off Snipes here. Trying to dislodge
out on the
beams.
A-point. Swing and a miss on those.
Looks like a lot of them go for the chaff. Those were likely Saw. Yep.
Yeah.
Claw, though, is still going to follow through with the bombs.
More than they can choose.
Claw finishes off with the bombs as multiple bomb hits hit this capper here. That was a full gun capper, though, so any damage into that is going to be a pretty rough. Oh, Zirconium gets mag sniped. Uh-oh.
There is a lot going on in this moment.
Eagle Squadron, backed by the beam, needs to commit onto that beamstone now to help Zirconium Pants, allow it to restore the mag. Beam is now being battle stored. Eagle needs to strike now with the S1s, but they're just loitering in the backline right now. Defender out on Eagle Squadron as Eagle loiters into the defender range. Miss micro from the carrier player on Freakbob's Fenthouse as Eagle is just going to get torn up here. Zirconium does temporarily bring the mag back online. Get some nice fire into that beamstone there, although the damage is going to add up. Mag snipe on the beamstone, although the beam does not require bullets to fire. Zirconium
beam at 27, 14, 9.
There it goes. CIC down
barely.
as ANS is going to snag Boxer as well as Comet. Meanwhile, Snipes is pretty injured.
More bomber runs coming in here. Heads up. Yep. Torpedoes about to be hitting one of these capitals.
S3H only takes out one of the bombers. The other ones committing torpedoes.
They just tank through it.
They commit
Bad
torpedoes.
dice roll.
These are Axe Thermval. The drives are firing on these Axfords, which means the Thermval will validate. Same thing with the ARAD. Multiple more torpedo hits into these Axfords here as the carrier player is starting to do some work here. Snipes is pretty injured, although still in the fight. These aren't Axfords. You have to remember that these things can restore quite well. Spy Eye, for what it's worth, has taken some pretty heavy damage. Same thing with Mechanical Hands. You can see this thing down here is very red. Tries to get some fire on these
Carrier under threat right now is about to start taking some actual fire, but it's gotten some good trades. Cap War at the same time. 4 cap inbound for OSP. ANS's front line tripled for the moment. Snipes can recover here if given time, but that was not the engagement they wanted to find.
Quiz pushing up with the beamstones into the carrier. Yep, OSP's going to lose their carrier here. The question is, did it do enough work weakening up these Axfords for the liners to deal with? We will see if it is going to be enough.
Cosmic going to come back from C point here towards the top of the map.
Re-engaging onto Herman here. One of Herman's Axfords is starting to take some fire here. A little bit of miss micro from OSP here, firing at 2 different Axfords. Spy Eye engaging the one in the back line, whereas Cosmic engages the one close up. Both of these Axfords are taking some pretty decent damage. We will see if it's going to be enough. Quiz
Carrier removed proper here as the beams and gunfire are going to put this
Quiz's
thing out of
other
commission.
100 mil liner is going to flank over the top of these Axfords here that are currently trying to engage the carrier. They're going to find the rail one first at close blank range. 2 restores at broadside at this range. Not a lot of things to prevent the damage from adding up. That might be a nice trade for OSP here, able to dislodge.
They're being smart. They've got C-53s and Plasma's going to fire first, then open up with the 100 mil. They're taking their time, doing the math. Here comes the good Plasma Bird. That's maximum damage Plasma at this range. 250 as well. Going to plink away at the armor a little bit. Secondary guns rotate, but that's not going to help.
Are not going to be enough to stop this liner from just tearing it apart. Yep. There comes the fire. Immediately, Gunplot Center goes down. Plant Control up top taking some heavy damage. 100 mil doing a lot less damage than I assumed it will, although this Axford will go down eventually here. It is broadside on right now, and this liner's just going to chew it up while it has the opportunity.
Yep.
Carrier does go down from ANS here as the Axfords begin to push, but conversely, the
Axfords
Axfords
will
are
also
now
collect one of the 100 mil plasma liners there as they roll over it.
Bloodkin, yep, pushes out probably at an inopportune moment as the beam Axfords do commit. That is a really rough loss for OSP, as that thing is one of the most high damage tools they have against these Axfords here. Herman starting to take some really crippling damage here on one of their Axfords. They are starting to chain restore. If that thing gets into cover, they will be able to bring things back online. It is still combat capable, and Spy Eye has also taken a lot of damage here. The beam Axfords are now pushing as fast as they can into what's left of OSP's front line. We have like flanks back to back to back in this game here, as multiple times the teams have ambushed each other. We will see who is really getting the best of this. Hunter
OSP trying to consolidate their forces best they can. A lot of their ships are pretty beat up and need to find some time to repair. ANS is doing a good job of cycling their front line here, allowing some Axford to step back, put themselves back together, and then recommit on target.
For what it's worth,
same time, though, their cap plate getting bled.
OSP is doing what they need to do here and just commit onto caps with their liners, hold them as long as possible. The Axfords are now out of position in the backline here, and although they might threaten E is the only cap that they can really threaten right now. Dagger is going to start being capped by ANS here, although there is a gun capper in position to... That has rockets on it, too!
Gonna say something.
Rockets begin to hit,
impact.
as that's going to be Dagger denied. There's no way that gun capper is going to be able to win that fight now. Dagger denied.
Nope.
Herman does have an axe
going for the very
rounds for Dagger right now.
Strange swap here.
Yep, both teams throwing their front line into the opponent's back line, just trying to contest points right now. You can see Hunter is doing their best to try and dislodge the liner on C with the rail Axford here, at least buying time for their actual proper Axford to flank up. You can see right now their other proper Axford is flanking currently upwards towards the C point here. Spy Eye,
rail Axford coming out to play here for the moment. Going to find Cosmic caught a little unaware here as they did not expect this.
Mechanical Hands pivots low underneath Hunter's Axford here. Fire order is confirmed. The gun's facing the wrong direction as Tethys desperately trying to move that liner around to get close range fire against that Axford. Meanwhile,
in the background, though, Quiz going to be losing one of their destroyers as a Ruddle from one of the Cosmics comes up and finds purchase
that was
there.
The
That's going to be another asset gone.
A-cap guard. That was the A-cap guard. A is relatively open for OSP to take right now. Beamstone is flanking
already seeing a Ruddle
right
moving
now.
onto that direction.
There's a Beamstone flanking onto C right now. OSP does have track on it. The question is, will they be able to pivot quickly enough to deal with that? Tethys still trying to roll this liner here, taking secondary battery fire from this Axford, as Hunter is not committing the main battery onto it. Nope, looks like they are now. Both these ships are going to get
Snipe's going to get some nasty 450 as Spy Eye comes around the corner and just lights up their guns here.
That is one Axford
That is a
gutted
defanged Axford.
As
it's dead. It's full punched out.
Died that quickly, goddamn.
Singular CIC in this thing in the forward area, and yeah, with the bombs, I believe, that took out the front stack with the Oxes, this thing will get its head taken off here. That's going to be a pretty big purchase for ANS, or OSP now. At the same time, ANS getting a beam from Quiz, this healthy beamstone is going to be onto C point.
Yep, that is one of the liners without a reinforced DC system. Once again, the fake Cosmic not investing in RDC. Tethys loses track on the Axford. They got the perfect broadside on. Their liner has taken way too much damage. Unfortunate. A Ruddle strike, though, into the rear aspect of one of Herman's Axfords here. Will this do enough damage to get through? Damage is starting to add up on the drives.
Surprisingly, not that much dealt. A lot of it tanked by the thrusters. Raider Drive, also a lot of health bar on that. I want to say it's like 1,000 plus there, so that's going to keep it alive.
Tethys gets flanked by one of Snipes' healthy beam Axfords here. Spy Eye, though, potentially in a position to get a broadside shot on that. Although
Spy Eye really needs to get in the fight right now. They have sat back, which is safety, but there is a very small opportunity they have to kill off these Axfords, and they have not really capitalized on it. We saw them push around that corner, did not get removed.
Going to get lost. ANS is going to retake it. Eclipse is going to get retaken as well. Spy Eye forced off the map, not able to really defend, although if they pivot out now, they will get broadside shots onto Snipes' the belly of Snipes' one remaining beam Axford there. Snipes not hitting B short on Mechanical Hands, as Mechanical Hands just sits there and takes it. Still able to be recovered, although the thing has taken a lot of lasting damage. Eclipse now being taken here. Hunter sits in one of their... Probably, is that the Lock Vet? No, that's the actual gun camper.
That's the Pinard scout from below there on east side. Okay. Still anyone's game. I'm going to say ANS looking slightly favored with the frontline presence that they still maintain. That said, OSP does hold a bit of the map.
Ooh,
still a lot of ANS assets not killed.
Spy Eye is going to get a broadside, or at least a belly shot onto Snipes' beam Axford here. They are bearing the target. Fire order set. Secondary batteries from Snipes. There goes the fire. Beam is knocked out at B shorts onto the liner that it was firing at. It does get the kill, but it means that the beam's going to be offline for this engagement with Spy Eye here. The beam does come back online, but it immediately gets grayed out by an AP shot here as Spy Eye immediately begins diving on E.
Might see similar story of the gut shot going for the CIC here. This thing is quite vulnerable with that bulk mag in the belly. I don't believe it has a secondary.
No backup mag as this Axford is now combat incapable for the time being, as Spy Eye is going to just push from multiple angles to try and dislodge that. Tethys doing what they can to try and contest A here. Sacrifice has been set to A and does manage to take the cap here. Dagger is firmly within the hands of OSP there. Although
B-cap about to go through his Quiz plays Possum and goes through it.
Tethys doesn't finish the kill on B-cap Beamstone. As B is going to go back
Watching that in the backfield.
B is going to go back to ANS there. Lots of last
current
minute
cap score. I believe ANS technically gets this if no cap goes through.
Spy
Quick
Eye
napkin map.
needs to commit onto E and just throw one of their liners onto E point right now, just to retake it. It looks like they are busy trying to engage this Axford here, not really taking the point. I bet they're probably taking a wide arc here, still thinking that the beam is probably active.
Likely, yeah. Spy Eye needs to commit their gunfire onto a target and put it in the dirt.
They are doing that right now. They're going to bleed snipes out of their last beamstone. Boxer is going to swap here as the beamstone does manage to swap back onto the point. With CIC down, though, all it needs is a single armed capper to really retake that. It looks like Doniger is being retasked onto E to retake it, although Hellcringe is still on the point with a combat-capable gun capper. Should be able to deny that if Spy Eye doesn't get secondary batteries on target soon here. Spy Eye with only a Bridgemaster in that liner, though, it's going to be really hard for them to detect that that ship. Hunter pivoting over the top with one of their, this is their 450 Axford, trying to get a crossfire on Tethys' Zirconium Pants in conjunction with Herman in the backfield there. Tethys...
Belly gun takeout here is kind of big for this gunfight, as that's
Tethys,
about 60% of the DPS gone.
You see the beamstone from Quiz is already beginning to pivot onto Tethys' capper here. They just want to try and kill that last 450 liner. Tethys has to be careful. They do know that the beam asset is there. Meanwhile, Herman committing onto A with pocket deuces. Dagger is pretty firmly held, and they are pivoting their Axford over the top. They're not standing on the point to hold, as ANS retakes the 4-cap here. OSP needs to commit onto caps fast here, although all of their remaining liners misplayed in the middle of the map are going to get flanked pretty aggressively here.
Yeah.
Tethys does divert their liner, does actually detect the beam thing here. Rockets! That's a Ruddle that was going to go cap C, has now found the beamstone from Quiz.
Gonna be 13 Ruddles shots left on this thing. Good to see if it gets the dive on Quiz. Defenders are in arc, but not aimed correctly. They will have a little lag.
It is waiting to the last moment to try and strike this thing. Pointing bow on target. Rockets. Will they commit in time is the question.
Essentially point-blank distance now.
Spy Eye has completely...
Wondering when they're gonna pull the trigger. There it is.
There they go. Rocket strike out.
Defender, yeah, tries to turn, does not have time.
Mag down as all of those rockets are going to find their way home into this. That's a mission killed Beamstone.
Does still keep the small reactor, but yeah, losing the big reactor means no beam.
Retake E here, although they have... Snipes actually doing a relatively okay job of keeping that beam Axford up, although its beam is pretty injured. Reactors are mostly down. Spy Eye right now needs to start pivoting onto other Axfords here to try and dislodge them from points. You see they are committing onto
Spy Eye tries to secure the E cap here, but ANS catching up on the score pretty fast.
Yep.
Spy Eye split off might get punished here. They're going to fight for C, which is not a bad fight for them, as that Grail Axford is going to fall very fast.
Tethys is going to get crossfired here in the center of the map. Electing to take a single mag on a 450 liner is always a really bad decision, as they are going to lose their mag, and it is going to be combat incapable for the time being. Spy Eye needs to start pivoting. They need to start pivoting, I think, onto Herman's Axford at A, trying to do their best to sort of dislodge it. It should be worth noting that the Axford at A does not have secondary battery, so it's going to be a really hard for them to dislodge. Although the beam Axford is beginning to flank back into position. It does have just enough power to
once again, this is on OSP not properly killing off these Axfords. They had every opportunity to full punish and remove them, and instead elected to split their fire a little too much. We see in this late game still 5 Axfords that are combat capable.
Yep. Tethys asking how they didn't manage to mag snipe, how they managed to mag snipe me in 2 out of 3 games. It's because you have a single Citadel mag. That is a really good way to get mag sniped. You can see here, Cosmic is pivoting the Ruddle that did the strike on the Beamstone, trying to pivot it over to Boxer. Meanwhile, Tethys is just going to get bled in the middle of the map there. Spy Eye as the last hope for OSP. They need to start getting those liners onto caps. There is no time for caution for Spy Eye right now. Even though they have a very low chance of winning these aggressive engagements, it's the only chance left for OSP at this stage.
Additionally, Spy Eye's liners, if taking a look at them, these are meant to be aggressive liners. They do not have gun plotting, which means to land those 450 shots, they have to get up close and let rip.
A-cap is going to be taken by ANS, maintaining that 4-cap. The 250, the Rail Axford actually on C is doing an excellent job of staying alive. Despite it being a really...
Still an Axford from the bow on, it will survive. Yeah, I think this is largely on OSP. They had great opportunity there. They managed to get the carrier strike through. ANS pushed a little too recklessly.
Yep.
They got punished for it with some very good torpedo strikes. but OSP did not follow up on the focus fire kills.
Right. These Axfords are all relatively heavily damaged, but without that follow-up, like Neko, you said, there's just no... They're still combat capable. They're able to chain restore back into combat capability here. There's the Atlas secure from ANS as the point lead is going to start shifting really quickly here into ANS's favor. Spy Eye, for what it's worth, doing what they can to try and retake C here, although that Rail Axford is still a Rail Axford. As long as just one of those secondary batteries is active, it will still be considered combat capable.
Yep. This is certainly... I can't quite, like, say it's over at this stage, but it looks pretty favored for ANS. OSP might be able to get a lucky snipe here or there, find some purchase, but it's looking more and more like the ANS going to win it. 4 cap on the board, points rapidly tightening up.
Spy Eye
attempted a D cap, but just not going to get it with the guns here. Heaven Based is going to be able to sit on this point with their Axford.
B point's going to be denied here as Tethys is completely crippled, unable to really do anything about Boxer. Dagger is going to be attempted here, but the secondary batteries on that Greedford is going to see off that Ruddle, or what's left of that Ruddle. Spy Eye currently trying to flank towards A, going to try and win an engagement with Herman here. Has already begun to start bow tanking where the liner's coming from, and Snipes still does have an active beam, even though it is really injured with no FPAs able to be used due to power constraints. It is still a beam. Spy Eye now starting to throw themselves onto C point here, although I don't think it's probably too little.
It's not going to be enough. The 3 cap is going to
like I said
win
before,
them.
In situations like this, even though you have a very limited chance of winning, you cannot afford to play passively. You need to play aggressively for any hope, and unfortunately, they don't do that at the end. Tethys, we saw multiple misplays with the liners just getting thrown into crossfires there. Despite having tracks on the ships that were providing the crossfires, OSP just kind of throws them into the...
like chat's pointing out, they had an easy win opportunity, but they just walked into beam range or did not correctly focus fire. That is a user error on their part.
The
450 will knock at the Axford's not beam, railgun.
Yep, but it's not going to be dying fast enough for the C retake here.
B-cap attempt was made, but there's still a beam destroyer there. There is a 450 Axford.
A-cap attempt might actually go through here as...
I might be able to make this happen. Takes out the beam destroyer with secondaries. Might be able to get on the point, but...
They did mag snipe Herman as well. Herman is down to no restores and no ability to bring the mags back up. All they need to do is swap fire to the beam Axford, and they can retake A here, although without an ability to take a 3rd point, it's going to be pretty much over. You can see
the single...
Get the C once again, the single CIC design of the 450 liner on C just gets knocked out, like it always does. I was handed this fleet,
I'm just saying it now. We need to run a liner night, apparently. Here's how you build.
I was handed that liner fleet with a single CIC. Yep. How not to build your liners, everyone.
Yep.
The CIC does come back online as the liner still continues its push onto C, although with that CIC at really low health, I have a feeling it's not going to be able to kill this Axford fast enough, I don't think. The remaining Axfords that ANS has can still pivot to points. Spy Eye does not know that that Axford is currently mission kill that they're firing at A. The beam Axford is starting to get its beam on target. Spy Eye is currently
Snipes will be able to let this... Oh, yeah, Snipes the whole fire. Goes for the... Maybe pause? No, that's not pause fire. That's just bad track.
The beam gets knocked out with an excellent aim point from Snipes there. That might... No, that can't be pause fire. You can see it flicking around.
Yeah, it just goes under the drive and reactor with a very lucky burst there. They're going to then probably get a pause fire since they know this thing has been drived. They can just decapitate it, aim for that front stack, likely what the CIC is. Not the case on this liner, which is a bit of a peculiarity, but see, Snipes in a second. They do have a little debuff on it, but yep, there's the beam follow-up.
As that is a mag
That
down.
Feels like a pause fire.
That was definitely a pause fire. The beam, though, gets B-shorted out of commission here. Spy Eye going to try to restore the drives, although one of the Axfords already flanking over the top. Yep, that's GG.
Keeps him off the A point. Seaside, the rail tech Axford here is still combat capable with secondaries.
Holding long enough for Hunter to repivot their actual Axford to C. The secondary batteries are just
going to claim it with the points here. 4-to-1 cap ratio is going to just add up and close out the game here. OSP had a shot at this. They really did. They just did not take out these Axfords. We see what happens with heavy capitals when you don't kill them off. They can Lego brick themselves back together, and despite all of the pounding that these frontline asses took, just look at Snipes' Axford here. This thing is still combat capable.
Right.
It's beat to shit. It's bloody, but it can fight.
And that's all you need to win these late game engagements. Once again, the beam firing, that is another pause fire. That's just going to go continuously into the center stack to try and take out the things there. Yep, and that's a surrender from Spy Eye. As Team SANDJOVER is going to take
the Unkstack SANDJOVER will take it with a 2-1. All right, let's do some post-game looking at these damage numbers here. Real damage number I want to see is how much damage received on some of these Axfords, because they did not get taken out effectively.
10K, 10K, 12K. Yeah, pretty impressive.
Look at that damage received versus damage repaired.
Yep. As the liners, multiple times there, OSP just threw those liners into meat grinders that they had on sensors and just got torn apart there. Spy Eye doing what they can, but unfortunately, despite they did get pushed off to the side at the beginning, but they just never repushed until it was too late. Tethys sends their liners into crossfires, trying to secure points, as the 100 mil liners from Fake Cosmic just kind of get pincered. For what it's worth, Real Cosmic on the carrier doing decently well, however gets caught out really early before they're able to have much battle impact. Able to disable a little bit of the Axfords, get them a bit, but not enough for it to matter, as these Axfords just repair themselves.
Torpedoes found their way through. They had the opportunity right then. It was the right call to split fire a little bit, take out the other threat briefly, get that chin shot, taking out the Axford's size 5 mount on the bottom there is very important. But they really needed to just close out and kill some of those Axfords. As we saw, they were heavily punished in the late game for not doing that cleanup.
Right.
Shout out to Quiz as well for some very good cap fleet play there while the rest of their team hellballed, deathballed. They pulled 13k with a beam destroyer, going to show what those things can do if left unattended.
Right.
Yeah. Good damage numbers from a cap fleet there.
Early on as well, there were some fighters up in ANS's back lane there from OSP, and they had ID on where those beamstones were, and they just never struck. A little bit of a misplay as well. Those beamstones coming back to haunt OSP in the end game there. They're able to get massive damage numbers into those liners. Yeah.
Bombers did their jobs. They got their torpedoes through. Surprisingly effective with only 4 bombers. Normally we see a double deck cycle for 8 bombers just to remove a capital from the game.
I mean, it is possible that the strat was double deck cycle, but the Axford push forced them to try and desperately do the 4 squadrons.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a pretty good job of degrading those Axfords there, and with proper team coordination with the front line, they might have been able to kill a lot of them there. But ANS being really smart with the Axford push and does a double-pronged push under the rock there where the carrier was hiding. And unfortunately, yeah, for OSP, they just find it and kill it before it's able to happen.
Tighten the noose, managed to get the kill. They had the chance there. The carrier had gotten its strikes through, but just unfortunately, there was too much left over that they didn't capitalize on.
Yep.